Greetings! Welcome to the Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades tutorial series. In this video, we're going to be covering closed bolt rifles and submachine guns. Now, this is an interesting category in that they share the sort of same button mapping in almost every case. Some rifles will be missing a feature or have an extra feature, but the differences in them have so much more to do about other ancillary interactions, operations, and order that you have to perform certain tasks with. So what we're going to do in this video is actually cover a bunch of them so that you can see the way that they vary, and that hopefully gives you enough of the possibility space so that when you encounter a rifle or an SMG you haven't used in H3 yet, you'll be able to explore it and figure out how it works. So we're going to start somewhere nice and familiar. This is an M16. We're going to spawn lock our magazine, load it up as normal. We're going to grab the charging handle on the rear, pull it to the rear, and let it snap forward. And then we're going to use its fire selector, which on all closed bolt rifles and SMGs is left on the touchpad. So we're going to move that to semi. We're going to take a few shots. We're going to click the fire selector again to move it up to full auto. Wonderful. We're empty now. We can see our bolt has locked back, as an M16 has a bolt hold open feature. On some closed bolt weapons, the bolt will lock back with the final shot. On other ones, it won't. So we're going to dump the magazine out. We're going to insert another one, and on all AR pattern rifles, like the M16 here, we can either grab the charging handle and snap it back and forward again to release the bolt, or we can just tap the bolt release there, or click up on the touchpad, which will also release the bolt. Wonderful. And that's how you use an AR pattern rifle or SMG in H3. Let's take a look at another STANAG compatible rifle, though, a Bullpup one. This is the L85. It's a British rifle. It uses the same magazines as an M16, although we load it in the rear here. Our charging handle is back here. This is what's called a Bullpup rifle, meaning that the magazine and the action is behind the handle. And it's important to note with this that while left on the touchpad, we'll cycle this between safe, semi, etc., and then back to safe. If we want to fire this full auto, we have to advance to semi first with left on the touchpad, and then we have to come back here and actually click with the trigger that back selector, which will put us in full auto. And so that's an example of a Bullpup closed bolt rifle in H3. Now, not every rifle and SMG that you come across are going to be sort of AR pattern. Some of them are more like this. This is the AKM, which has a slightly different order of operations that we have to use to fire it. So I'm going to pick a magazine up here. We're going to spawn lock it. We're going to insert it in. Now notice, if I grab the bolt on this and pull it back, it actually isn't going to move far back enough to actually grab and extract a round. I have to actually advance the fire selector off of safe to allow the bolt to transit back. This can be a stumbling block for the folks who aren't familiar with this type of rifle. So we're going to go ahead and fire this a bunch. Note that on AK pattern weapons, we actually go from safe to full and then to semi. And then when the weapon is empty, we'll notice the bolt does not hold open like with an AR pattern ones, but we've got a cool trick we can do with AK pattern weapons, which is that we can pull another magazine out and we can do what's called a tactical reload, which is where we hit that magazine latch with another mag and tear it out, slam this home, grab the bolt, pull back, and continue fighting. Boom. Tactical reload. And so that's how you use an AK pattern firearm in H3. We're going to go ahead and clear that. Put that down here. What next? What next? Another example of a firearm that may have multiple fire selection switches is the Vector 45 here. Just like the L85, we charge it, and when we click left on the touchpad, we're going to see our fire selector go between semi and safe. But the Vector 45 has another fire selector switch further up that goes from semi to 2-round burst to full auto. Ah, what a bullet hose. And so that's yet another example of the way in which these can vary. Lastly, there are a few, such as our SKS here, that while they take a magazine as normal, as you might imagine, we're going to charge that back. Let's go ahead and empty this. So our bolt lock's back. This can actually be reloaded from a stripper clip as well. So instead of tearing the magazine out of this, we just insert a clip into the top, go like that, grab the bolt, let it slam forward, and we're good to go. So this is yet another example of the way that various sorts of closed bolt SMGs and rifles, while sharing a bunch of the sort of base control scheme in H3, can mechanically vary. If you ever run into one of these while playing and there's something about its operation that you can't quite figure out, like how do I get this into full auto, or is there some step I'm missing, actually looking at a video of the real steel on YouTube can be really informative in terms of learning how that specific firearm should operate. Well, that's it for this category. I hope this video was useful to you. Peace.